Good evening, everyone. Before we continue the discussion on Sadhana Panchakam, we will start with our Shanti Mantra. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Om Gananahan Tva Ganapati Havamahe Kavim Kavinam Upamashravastamam Jeshtarajam Brahmanam Brahmanaspata Anashranvannotibhis Sita Sadhanam Om Shri Mahaganapataye Namaha. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryangkaravavahai Tejasvinavadhetamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat. So today is Shankatahara Chaturthi, very special for Ganesha. So we started with the Gnanam Tva mantra for invoking the grace of Lord Ganesha, the Lord as Ganesha. Okay. So we are discussing with Sadhana Panchakam as the core, the various aspects of transitioning into a full spiritual life that is conducive for liberation. In accordance with the guidance given by Sri Adi Shankaracharya in the text Sadhana Panchakam, we are using that like the lighthouse, you know, like the guiding light, and we are following in that logic, in that sequence, and adapting and interpreting in a way that is practically relevant for all of us, and also for people who are not from the Vedic tradition originally, but who have taken refuge here, who look up to the Vedic tradition for guidance. Until now, Vedo nityam adhiyatam taduditam karmasvanushtiyatam tene shashya vidhiyatam apachitihi kamye matistyajyatam पापौघ परिधूयताम भवसुखे दोषोऽनुसन्धीयताम आत्मेच्छा व्यवसीयताम निजगृहात् तुरुणं विनिर्गम्यताम. Then संगत्सत्सु विधीयताम भगवतः भक्तिर्दृढादीयताम शान्त्यादिः परिचीयताम दृढतरं कर्मासु संत्यज्यताम सद्विद्वानुपसर्प्यताम प्रतिदिनं तत्पादुका सेव्यताम ब्रह्मैकाक्षरमर्थ्यताम स्तुतिशिरो वाक्यं समाकर्ण्यताम. So we are going to see until that. Last week we had an elaborate discussion about Sangha Satsu Vidhiyatam. Joining the Sangha. What is Satsanga? Why it is needed and the various aspects, challenges and all that. And then we are supposed to tackle this question. We had a very relevant question. So I will go back to that question. I will read that question again. Two questions we had. One we already addressed in the last class. Is it not unkind to see or discriminate people as low intelligent or fool? This was coming in the context of asampradaya with the murkhavat. In that, is it not himsa or harming others? So I explained it. What it means, it is basically not calling anybody as a fool, but how one would not give importance to the words of a person one considers as a fool. Similarly, one should not give importance to a person, even though the person may be very learned and very sounding very intelligent and claiming to be enlightened. That person's words should be given only so much value.
Effect of a pack on neck, abdomen, and
Sorry?
neck.
Yes, somebody saying something? Was somebody saying something to me? Is everything okay? Can I continue? Someone was unmuted by accident. Okay. Hmm. This is why I'm not comfortable with electronics. Hmm. See that it puts a break in the thought flow, and then the intensity is lost, and I have to get it back. Okay. Um. So where were we? Yes. So that question about being unkind. It's not about unkind. It is about sticking to a certain standard and deciding whom to listen to and whom not to listen to. Just a guidance for that. It is not about undermining anyone. Uh, so we are basically, what he says is, even though if the person is claiming to be enlightened or appears to be very learned, if that person is not from Sampradaya, his words should not be given importance, like how you would not give importance to the words of a person who is considered as a fool. Okay, so that's what it means. It is not just a fool, it is very important, because nowadays the information is rampant. There is not a place where information is not available. Teaching is not information. When we come to the spiritual teaching, who is talking is at least as important as what the person is talking. Sometimes I would consider who is talking is more important than what is being talked. It is also in line with the tradition when they say Gurumeva bhigachet shrotriyam brahmanishtam. It is given equal importance. Must be a Shotriya and a Brahmanishta. And if you cannot ensure the person is a Brahmanishta or a enlightened person, you cannot ensure that. So you only ensure that person is according to the Sampradaya, Shrotriya. So that gives a basic guideline that who the person is more important. What kind of person is more important than what the person says and what the person quotes. There is this Muslim preacher who can quote from Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Mahabharata, from chapter, verse, number, and everything. That fellow is a terrorist sympathizer. He is banned from India. He is extradited from India. He has a lot of criminal records on him. He is in cahoots with organizations that recruits people for terrorism, right? So he used to do these huge meetings, and he'll be quoting left, right, from Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads and everything with chapter number this, verse number that. So it will appear that this fellow knows more than my family priest. But he is having information. But what is behind the information? His intention is not pure. His intention to misabuse the information in order to confuse me. They say, the demon is preaching, is reciting the Veda, they will say. So it is not about the information. It is extremely important who is talking. So that is why this guidance is there. Sampradaya with the one who is according to the Sampradaya or somewhere related to the Sampradaya, and what it practically means we have already discussed in 2 classes. Okay, you can refer to the videos from the last 2 classes if you want to revisit that topic. So Sangaha Satsu Vidhiyatam. Seek the company of those who are devoted to the truth and to the way which is not, at least not disharmonious with the Vedic way. It's like an extreme level of compromise that I have given, because that is all we can expect these days. At least it is not against the Veda. This is minimum qualification. There should not be Veda Ninda there, and things from the Vedic culture. It should not be like a personality cult. There are certain basic points that should be taken care. What are the basic points? The Shastra should be more important than the personality or the teacher there. The teaching should be more important than the teacher. These kind of things we have discussed, right? So, Sangaha Satsu Vidhiyatam means people who are devoted to the spiritual side of life, who believe in the existence of this eternal reality as the basis of this phenomenal existence. Astika, basically, if you want to use the technical word, it is astika, means those who consider Veda as pramana. Now, this does not mean any spiritual group, whoever believes in something divine. If you don't have any Vedic connection, at least you can start with that, but eventually, if you come to something that is not opposed to the Vedic, that much is okay, right? But the point, why am I taking refuge in this community? The point is to steady my devotion to the God, to God or to the Supreme Being. Bhagavataha bhaktir didadhiyatam. I should develop one-pointed devotion to Ishvara and develop the qualities called Shamadama. In Tattva Bodha, we have also seen in various other classes, Shamadama, Uparama, Titiksha, Samadhana, Shraddha, the sixfold inner assets. It is called Shamadhi Shatka Sampatti. Comes, you can do a search for that. Shama, mind control. Dama, control of the sense faculties and sense organs, organs of action and perception. Uparama is not poking my nose into things that are not my business. That means anything that is not directly relevant for my spiritual upliftment, I don't bother about it. Which means no politics, no social welfare, and all those things. Don't take up unnecessary responsibilities that are not your duty. That does not mean you say no to any kind of a little bit of service that might happen in the Sangha. That's not what we are talking about. It is not to get into unnecessary commitments. Uparama. Titiksha, having the kind of endurance and resilience to experience of pairs of opposites, mainly from climate and one's environment, and with respect to the body and moods, etc. Then complete conviction to pursue the path, samadhana, and shraddha is total surrender to the shastra and to the teaching, to the teacher. Here, let us take at this stage, it is complete surrender to what the shastra says and to the tradition. You can take it like that. Okay. So Shantyadi, Adi means like Shanti, means here it means Shamadhi, Shantyadi Parichiyatam. Develop the qualities of Shamadama, Uparama, Titiksha, Samadhana, Shraddha. All the inner wealth, It is like how, if you want to lead a successful life outside, in an outside materialistic world, you need to have a good bank balance, asset base, good social connections, reputation, and all those things, which is called as a successful person. These are all different kinds of wealth: the wealth of connections, the wealth of money and assets, the wealth of power is a kind of a wealth. Knowledge is a practical, functional knowledge, and skill set is a kind of wealth. Like that, you also need a kind of wealth in order to be successful in your spiritual quest. And that wealth is this inner wealth, cultivating the inner wealth. Right? That is what the Shantyadi Parichiyatam. And then after that, Dridataram Karmashu Santyajyatam, it is taking to a life of renunciation. We will come to that afterwards. So, taking refuge in the Sangha, Sangaha Satsu Vidhiyatam, seek the company of a Satsanga. Because if you join the Satsanga, Satsangatve Nisangatvam, when you join the Satsanga, it disconnects you from all the things that are binding you more into the life of bondage and reinforcing your old habit patterns and taking you more and more into the life of struggle. So all those things, it disconnects you from that connection with the patterns that promote and uh, propagate the cycle of suffering. Nisangatvam means disconnecting. Satsangatve nisangatvam. So the right Sangha is something that should help you to grow out of your self-destructive patterns. Nisangatve nirmohatvam. Then you are having some kind of clarity where you are free from delusion and you are able to internalize the meaning of the teachings. Nirmohatve nischala tattvam, the realization or the clarity becomes steady. That becomes your nature. Nischala tattve jivana muktihi. So if you are well established in the truth about yourself, you will be liberated while you are still alive. Right? It comes in Bhajagovindam. So, Sankaha Satsu Vidhiyatam. I was jokingly saying, run away from your house and join a cult. Right? Join a spiritual cult. It tends to sound like that, but it is not like that. And then we had a huge discussion about what is the kind of Sangha we should go on. So, in that context, I want to deal with this question, which came 2 classes before. In the last class, we talked about having the company with people who are also looking for liberation. However, my experience with within quotes spiritual people has not been so good. I always found it tiring and artificial, and I agreed. And I prefer to have friendship and loving relationship with people who are more mundane and ordinary. What would you have to say about that? Good. Now we have to see why we are joining the Sangha. Am I joining the Sangha for emotional and comfort and egoistic comfort in order to be in my comfort zone? Right? Those people who are according to my comfort zone, who don't challenge my comfort zone, are very nice to be with. So those are friends, right? Now, but when even for friendship, traditionally in India, even for friendship, true friendship, Thiruvalluvar says the purpose of true friendship is not for just staying together and laughing and having fun, but to go out of one's way and to stop the other person in the moment of excess. Nagadal Poruttandu Nattal Migdikkan Merchendru Idittal Poruttu. In Tirukkural. You can look at it. There are 10 verses about friendship in Tirukkural. It encapsulates the dharma of friendship, the essential dharma of friendship from the Sanatana Dharma. It encapsulates in 10 verses under the section called friendship nut. In that, one of that, it is not just for having fun, but it is to stop your friend when there is an excess. When he crosses a line, you have to stop that person and to stop. Idittal means like you have to admonish. You have to admonish and apply your force and make sure that the person doesn't go out of the way. That's what you are here for as a friend. That says. So even friendship is supposed to challenge one's comfort zone when it crosses a limit and goes to self-destruction. Right? Even a friend. So satsanga is challenge from the moment go. Okay. So first, when I understand that, I seek the sangha, the company of people who are devoted to liberation. I seek that company not for emotional comfort, but for helping me through the transition process which takes me to the feet of my guru. There is a whole thing is a transition process, because the next verse which says Sadvidwan upasatyatam tat pratidinam tat paduka seve. Go and surrender to the guru and serve him every day. Right? Find the guru who is living the truth. Go and find that guru and surrender to him. After you have gone through the preparation in the sangha, it should take you to the guru. So that is the whole point. The point is not to be stuck with the cult. So this sangha is a transition process from the world to the teacher, from the worldly life patterns to the teacher who will give you the teaching that liberates. Right? It should bring you in front of your guru. That is the whole purpose of satsanga. So keeping that in mind, I see I am the one here to be benefited. Right? So when I understand the importance of sangha, my priority of what I am looking for in the spiritual group completely changes. Right? I'm not saying that it should be a emotional struggle every day and you have to put up with all kinds of nonsense. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is I should be always conscious of why I am seeking the company of those who are devoted to spiritual liberation. Here, there are two aspects to it. One, tiring, tiring and artificial. I completely agree. It can be like that. Tiring, definitely, because the priorities of the people who are devoted to a lifestyle that is connected to facilitating liberation, the priorities are extremely, completely radically different from the priorities in the world. For example, in the world, you are always asked to project yourself, project yourself and communicate and speak your mind, these kind of things, and to always, go there and get it. And, you're always pushed to be extrovert. But in the Sangha, that is highly discouraged. You know, you're not supposed to speak unless you are asked, or you should ask permission to speak. You are generally expected to diminish yourself, diminish your egoistic personality. You should not throw around your personality in a Sangha. You are expected to stay more calm, docile, to keep to yourself and participate only where it is relevant or where it has been assigned, and wait for some time to understand the rhythm of the place, right? One should not go there and impose oneself, like, I am. When you go to the party, you know, generally those who are the life of a party, they are expected to, they are highly sought after, who are always bringing life to a party. So you are not going to the Sangha to bring life to a party. You are going to the Sangha to benefit from whatever they have to offer, right? So there's two things. One is about me. Am I going there with the right attitude and expectation? This is one side of the story. Another side of the story, am I going to the right Sangha? That is very important. So all the discussion we had in the previous class, you revisit. You will have a kind of overview about what is the checklist I should have before I go and join or continue to stay in a Sangha. The more and more I associate with the Sangha, I will know whether they are, how much they are okay according to the traditional checklist, right? Are they connected to the tradition? Are they more devoted to the Shastra than to personality cult? Is there some kind of a study and reflection and some discipline and practices and lifestyle commitments going on? What are the kind of people who are there, the majority, right? Are there at least some people, at least a sizable portion of the people, do I see there some serious and seriously devoted and sincere people there? Or are just all of them there only for entertainment, right? So what kind of people come there tells you about the vibe of the place, right? So the overall vibe of the place, we have to see the core vibe of the place. No? That is that there are two things. There is this overall vibe, and then there is a core vibe. It will take some time for me to understand the core vibe of the place. After I understand the core vibe of the place by going there a few times and checking out how it is hanging out, and trying to be receptive, observant. Once I understand, then I can see if it suits my purpose or not. Not whether it is comfortable for me or not. It may be uncomfortable. Certain things that are good for us in the long run, we have to allow that thing to grow upon us. We have to give it some time for the adjustment to take place. Even for friendships and human relationships, there is this beautiful ancient Tamil poem which says the friendship between non-virtuous people, people who are uh, not so virtuous, the people who are easygoing and people who are without integrity. dishonest and people without integrity. So the friendship between those people is like eating a sugar cane from bottom to top. It's very sweet in the beginning, it's all very nice, and as time goes it becomes bitter. It becomes tasteless and bitter and not so pleasant. But the friendship between virtuous learned people is like eating a sugar cane from top to bottom. So the top portion of the sugar cane is not very sweet, and as you start eating, as you start going towards the root, it gets sweeter and sweeter in time. So the things that are all things in life, they say good things are worth waiting for. So it's like slow cooking preserves the nutrition and the flavor much better. The food turns out much better. The same way, things that are supposed to last for a long time, there is a break-in period. There is a certain period where you have to be more observant and more tolerant when things are not going your way, and more self-observant as much as you are observing the place and the people and their behavior. You should also observe your reactions and see how you are getting affected, why you are getting affected the way you are affected. Is it because your comfort zone is challenged, or is it because it is against the principle of what you are there for, right? So is it against going against certain objective principles, or it is just going against your comfort zone? And how important is that comfort zone for your further pursuit and inner growth, right? So it's not easy at all. I'm not saying it is easy, it is very difficult, but it is a context for us to develop only two things: steady devotion to God, which is called concentration. We will go into will I will look into that in a more elaborate manner, and developing the inner wealth of shamadamadi shatka sampatti, right? Shamadama uparama titiksha samadhana shraddha. To develop my inner wealth that helps me to walk the spiritual path, the path towards liberation, and to develop one pointed devotion to Ishvara. This is why I am going to Sangha, and which will help me to renounce the world and make the transition. So the Sangha is a transitions period which takes me from my old karma and klesha driven life, the life that is stuck in patterns of struggle uh, and suffering and pain, and that propagates the patterns of struggle and suffering, the life of samsara. From there it is transitioning and taking me to the guru. So this is the transition phase. So a transition phase is not easy in anything, right? So it is something, let us consider it something like the freshman year. When you join a university or a college, let us say you are joining a very reputed university. Okay, you are going to join a very reputed university. So you read about it, what is their culture and everything, and you are very keen. You are very interested in joining that university because that they have the best faculty for the course that you want to do. But then it also comes with a certain university subculture, right? There are different hostels. Each hostel will have a different subculture. One university will have a different, if you want to join, um, let us say in Cambridge, you will have one culture, Oxford will have some other culture, Yale will have some culture, Harvard will have some other culture. Right? In India, if you go, there is this Indian Institute of Science will have some other culture. Tata Institute of Social Science will have something else. So there are these reputed institutes. They have been maintaining a certain. There will be a certain human component to it, right? So it is not all just technical. It is just not all technical. So when you join a university, a reputed university for a course, you will have to learn to be in harmony with the human component there. You cannot be an outcast and still hope to succeed and graduate, at least graduate in peace, you know, and to have a nice time there and to be useful. It is not just so, because after you graduate from a reputed university, it is also your association with the alumni. Once you are a professional, there is this alumni, and with how you are, because alumni means connections. if you are in a top college, after you graduate, your main connection in the industry is through the alumni. It's very useful. There are a lot of the human component that goes into it, right? And you allow yourself to break in and you see what are the boundaries, how much I can tolerate, what I can accommodate, what I will not accommodate, whatever I will not accommodate, how I will maintain my boundaries without creating friction with the people around me. It's an art, right? So some people do it well, some people do it so, some people really fail, and then they decide to join some other college. It's not so. You always find a mentor. Somebody is like a mentor who helps you to break in and who helps you to blend in and find your space within that university, right? Within the community. So all those rules apply to a sangha also. It is just that instead of academic, this one is a different sphere of knowledge. But the human component is going to be the same as it is anywhere else. You may find mundane people, your friendship and loving relationship with people who are more mundane and ordinary. It is very easy because it does not go deep. It's relaxing because I would say probably say those who prefer this, even when I find myself preferring this, uh, it is usually when I am tired, when I am tired of accommodating everything. So when I'm tired, I want to have a relaxed conversation or something, so I don't want to take care of too many rules and all that. So it's because one is stressed, one looks for comfort. So one should not confuse a comfort seeking company that one looks for in the ordinary and the mundane people and friendship, where they accommodate. It is like a relationship where two people relate from same level of same kind of flaws. I have these shortcomings, you have these shortcomings, so we understand each other. So because we understand each other, we accommodate each other's needs. We understand and we accommodate the shortcomings of each other, and you are accepted as you are. You are accepted along with your shortcomings. It's like two smokers becoming a friend. A smoker and a non-smoker can be friends, but it is very difficult to relate in a smoking space or in a non-smoking space. In a non-smoking space, the non-smoker is comfortable, but the smoker wants to take a puff, cannot take, because it's a non-smoking space. There is friction, right? Because it's a very deep-seated habit, that it's a very physiological level urge is very strong, and the smoker feels judged and looked down upon. But when you go into a smoker's place, this non-smoker is out of place. He's like a black sheep. Man, you are not fun, you don't participate, why are you coming here and spoiling? Go to the non-smoking space. If you're here, you should take a puff with us, or at least not talk bad about smoking. Either be game or get out. That's what they will say, right? It becomes difficult, right? So but if both are smokers, both share the same level of defilement, so they can accommodate each other's defilement. Oh, I understand your need to smoke, so if you put a cigarette on your mouth, I will light it. I will open the lighter for you, I will light it up for you. And probably we can share the same cigarette. It doesn't matter whether you have HPV or something, saliva. We don't think about all that. It's a comfort zone. It's all very nice. It is very nice because it is immediately comforting, but in the long run, what happens? It only reinforces your patterns and make you more stuck in your patterns and habits that propagate your life of samsara. It does not help you to get out of your life of samsara and to develop all the inner wealth that take you further. Because if you want to grow spiritually, you will have to challenge your comfort zones. It is not easy to challenge any habit pattern. If I am not struggling with any your habit pattern, it's very easy for me to advise you, hey, come on, you should grow out of that. It's not useful. I can give you a big lecture because I am not stuck in that. But if I have really worked with my habit patterns, if I have worked with my own, each person has their own problems, right? If I have really worked with challenged a certain comfort zone in me, and I worked my way out of it, I will know the struggle of, growing out of deep-seated habits and patterns. When I have seen the struggle of going out of a deep-seated pattern, I will be able to empathize with the struggle somebody else has with some other pattern. So that is why we say that in a sangha, a proper kind of a sangha involves people who are going through actual sadhana and who are actually devoted and who are not there to just for ego purpose. But you cannot rule out the human component. The humans there are coming from the society. The satsanga people are not some angels fallen from heaven who are flawless and full of kindness. No, they are also struggling with their patterns as much as I am struggling. But if the fundamentals are okay, I have to allow myself some time and I have to find my comfort zone within the Sangha and probably find somebody who will help me blend in and break in into the lifestyle. A very simple thing, when you go to an ashram in India, when you go to an ashram, a traditional ashram with some rules, there are some very simple rules that are sound that might look completely alien to a person used to a Western way of life. If you go for a bathroom, you are supposed to wash your feet and mouth. What is the connection apart from washing your genitals? Wash your feet and mouth. What is the connection? There is no logical connection. It is a certain saucha, the cleanliness discipline. There is, you cannot explain it scientifically. You can say bacteria, all that. It's all different. There are specific instruction. If you go for uh, the to pass urine, after that you have to rinse your mouth 4 times. If you clear your bowels, you have to wash your mouth after that 8 times or 16 times. What is the logic? There is no logic, right? This is called acharam. That's it. For example, if you come to certain traditional places where we observe some ritualistic rules, if you touch food that is cooked with salt, if you touch that food before touching yogurt or milk or ghee or oil or other things, you will have to touch water or wash your hands before touching. And also, one must ideally speaking, one must not serve and eat by oneself. Somebody else should serve and you must eat. And the person serving should not sit, should be only standing. Like this, a lot of rules are there, and it's called acharam. And Brahmin families, we have much more than the other families. But once you are used to that, it becomes very easy. It creates a certain kind of a subtle space, a mental space of purity and sattva. It creates a certain level of sattva which facilitates a finer kind of consciousness, which you will realize only when you live. The problem with all the rules in ashrams is you will realize the beauty of it, how it helps you. The main problem with the spiritual community's lifestyle, especially the problem you will have with the lifestyle is the lifestyle will not make sense for you at the outset. It will not. And it is going to challenge your comfort zone in very, very simple everyday things and is extremely annoying in the beginning, depending on how much you are conditioned and how much you are. If you are very keen on progress, if you are very keen on, and if you have a good level of shraddha, it becomes easier to inculcate those practices, lifestyle practices, right? These are usually the problem. They will say, hey, you're not allowed jeans pant. Don't wear jeans pant. You should come only wearing dhoti. Yeah, it's a very annoying thing. Like, what? Why should I wear dhoti? Everywhere is dirty. If I sit, my dhoti will get dirty. No, wear dhoti, right? So I may not find it. I might find it simply like an useless cultural imposition. But that's how it is. So if I want to benefit from the sangha, I should wear the dhoti and go. As simple as that. I may understand it later. I may understand whether it is relevant or it is just a group thing or is it really spiritually beneficial or is it just a cultural thing. I will understand later. But in order to break in order to blend in and to get in to a point where I benefit from the real core things that are truly beneficial for me, in order for me to access that, I will have to go through the fence. I will have to go through the gateway, through the steps, in order to go to access what is truly beneficial for me, what is really important for me. I will have to accommodate certain things that are not important. If you look at every aspect of life, this is true. If you want to have a good time in your family, you will have to accommodate certain things with your family members that you are not comfortable with, in order to benefit from something that is more important. So when I see that a sangha, I'm going there, what the satsanga has to offer for me. After I narrow down the right satsanga according to the basic principles that we have discussed, after I have narrowed down on, oh yes, this place qualifies as a good sangha community, after I have decided that, then it's like applying to the reputed college. I have a certain respect for the place. I look up to the place to help me. And I'm very keen on growing up spiritually. Because of my keenness and because of my respect for that place, I will have a certain level of readiness to accommodate certain human aspects that are not very pleasant for me at the beginning. Some of which I might find useful later, some of which I might find it just nonsense, but it's all right. It's not a big deal. It will be there, definitely be there. So I will have to find my way, maybe find some mentor who is more accessible, find one or two people who are more tolerable than the others, and then help them to help me blend in and help me benefit from the sangha. So this is how we have to proceed. We have to give ourselves time, and we have to, uh, constantly look at ourselves, how our comfort zone is challenged, and see how I can rise above my likes and dislikes. Because whenever I get into an experience, the first impact happens according to my likes and dislikes, according to my raga dvesha, according to my preferences. Something is pleasant or unpleasant. If everything is pleasant, then where is the scope for growth? So some things are unpleasant, that is challenging my comfort zone. Then I have to find meaning in overcoming that. So there are some rules, and some people may not be pushing with the rules whenever they tell me what to do or what not to do, and whenever they are trying to uh, relate with me, they may come across as very rude and imposing, right? It's just their way of thinking. You just don't, we can probably train ourselves to look past the human component and to look more objectively at the thing that they're trying to tell us, and whether that specific thing that I am supposed to follow or listen to, how is it useful for me, right? So once I enter the sangha, I understand it is not about me or my ego or my comfort zone anymore. It is only about my growth. If I am very devoted to my spiritual growth, I will not have that much of a problem accommodating to a reasonable level the the discomforts that arise from the human component of the sangha, which is inescapable in any situation. Even with mundane people, if you cross a certain point, it will start becoming tiring and boring, and you may not be very comfortable with the human part. The moment you start conversing about deeper and higher things, when you want more meaning from the conversation, this person may not be comfortable with that, and this person may not be okay, or may not be able to resonate with that. It will be like you're meeting a wall. It will be meaningless. You will feel desperate. You will feel your soul. You will feel empty in your soul, or you will feel inadequate at the soul level. You will want something more deeper, something more meaningful, something more profound. You will start feeling that. So the problem with people who are with an awakened spiritual interest is you are neither here nor there. That is the situation. So until you reach the feet of your guru at the point of complete surrender, and your mind is totally available for the teaching, it is a transition phase. And in the transition phase is a very difficult phase. And during this transition phase, a lot of psychological discomfort is inescapable, is inevitable. When I understand this, then in moments of psychological discomfort, I see how I can use the various teachings that I have learned, various tools that I have learned from yoga and other things, how I can navigate this so that I make this transition phase, more useful and more enlightening and more liberating, and helping me to achieve what I am here to achieve for. So that would be the attitude with which we deal with the spiritual community. It is not easy, but it is not impossible. That does not mean I accommodate every kind of nonsense in a community. So no spiritual community is above common sense. Okay, so it's common sense plus extra subtle sense. It is not subtle sense at the cost of common sense. So that much I should understand. And whenever we go into a spiritual community, we have to be ready for people who are over sentimental or overprotective, or emotionally a little over triggered. These kind of things are inevitable because everyone has their own history, and so I will be encountering new kinds of human components in the normal world. Even if I want to join a rock band, if I want to vibe with a rock band, there are a lot of things. I should use only certain kind of clothes, and it's a group, right? So if it's a biker club, they say there are a lot of uh, uh, brands and things and choices. I cannot, if I use something that the other biker club uses, it's like I become a pariah in the biker club. So I have heard about things like this. So these rock bands and these clubs and fan clubs, so you have certain, if you are a if you are a football, if you are part of a football fan club, you cannot wear a headband of the rival football club simply because you like the color of that headband. You cannot wear that. That's it. If you wear, you are finished. So it's something like this. These are all human components. So we are ready to accommodate this kind of silly things in normal worldly situations. But why are we not ready to accommodate some harmless human uh, flaws when it comes to a satsanga? So let us be kind. Let us be more accommodating, and let us be in touch with the ground reality of the human inadequacy that is inescapable and inevitable even in a spiritual sangha, and stay focused on our goal of going there, which is to develop one pointed devotion to the Lord, to Ishvara, and to develop the inner wealth that will help me go through this transition and take me to the feet of my Guru, who will show me the truth of myself, which is liberation. Right. So, having accommodated myself in the Sangha, before we proceed, there is something here. There is an idea as anything and everything has to be said in a sweet way, or else one can doubt the subject as the tone is not as comforting as one wants. Yeah, definitely. How to bring Shraddha when most of the teachings are not comfortable to the mind? That is a challenge. Yeah. So we have to understand. We have, if the devotion to the goal, if the devotion to that goal of moksha is strong, Shraddha will be automatic. If I am desperate enough, for liberation, it is very easy for me to get Shraddha. I remember, this uh, seeing some young aspirants, and also myself when I was very young, I was ready to do anything. A person in a ochre robe, a swami, somebody dressed as a swami, whatever that person says, I'm ready to do. It somehow came naturally because I'm very keen. I want to learn. I want initiation. I wanted to learn, and I want liberation, and I want the grace. So whatever you say, I will assume that perfection is a perfect master, and it's very dangerous. Somehow with God's grace, I did not end up with some wrong guy, um, some fake guru, but still, I find that when you are very keen in what you want, it becomes much easier to overlook or gloss over the challenge of one comfort zone, challenge to one's comfort zone. Uh, oh, it is nice if they, if my comfort zone is taken into account, it's nice. But I can always see how much I can tolerate. But nowadays, I find it is too much. There is too much uh, emphasis on telling it in a sweet way. Generally, a traditional teacher, person who is trained in the traditional method, uh, will not be very rude, will not be very dismissive, unless you have already surrendered. No, if you are a very close student, that person may, uh, you know, sometimes treat you like complete dirt. So it's a way of challenging, making you look at your comfort zone. But they don't do that with anybody and everybody. Um, so that is where we have Shastra. If I don't have enough Shraddha to the person who tells me, if I have enough Shraddha along with my mind's conviction to attain what I have to attain, spiritual commitment, along with my spiritual commitment, if I have Shraddha in the Shastra than in the person, I can always take time off and think about the content of what they said and check with the Shastra, and then convince myself to look above the, to gloss over the tone, to look above the tone and to give more importance to the content. And over time, when I see that the person's tone may not be, I have to stay in the context. I should not run away. I should stay in the context and develop some kind of thick skin in order to not be hurt in a very deep way, in order to develop some kind of a tolerance to the tone. Over a period of time, I might, if the person is very genuine, I might see the point behind the tone. I might see the person behind the tone, and I may feel a reaction to the tone, but I will not take it very personally, and I will overlook the tone, and I will be able to see the point that they are making, because I have respect for the knowledge of the person. So every time there is a tone problem, we can bring Shraddha by thinking about, it's again a kind of Pratipaksha Bhavana, by thinking about the qualifications of the person, the knowledge of the person, and the validity of the point that they are making, the point that is behind the tone. If I remove the tone and just focus on the point that they are trying to say, and see the relevance and its connection to the Shastra, and I do some research, I will be, I take time off, calm down my reaction, and then try to see the point, overlook the tone and see the point. When I do this again and again over a period of time, if there is consistency in that person's commitment for my welfare, I will start feeling that this person really cares for me. And when I see the care behind the tone, then it becomes easier to tolerate the tone. Even then, the tone is not going to be nice, but still, it makes it easier for me to have more Shraddha in the content behind the tone. And over a period of time, I become more tolerant of the tone and not get so much triggered. So that would be my approach to this, and I would advise that. Right. So the next one is the next line, Sangasattu Vidiyatam. The next advice is Bhagavatah Bhaktir Dridhadiyatam. Strengthen your devotion to Ishvara, Bhagavan. Strengthen your devotion to Bhagavan. Bhagavan here means the understanding of Saguna Brahman, the understanding of God as the creator, sustainer, and destroyer of this world. The cause of the divine cause of this world, supreme being understood as the cause of this world, it's called God, Ishvara, right? And this relationship with Ishvara is something personal. It comes from your history, from your exposure, some study, and through some various practices. It is basically the yogic way of relating to Ishvara. Okay, it is a dualistic relationship where you are as an individual, you are confronted with this world around you, and Ishvara is that from which this phenomenal existence came out. Ishvara is that supreme intelligence who sustains this, because Shastra says there is Ishvara, and Ishvara takes care of all these things. You have Shraddha, and you believe in and understand how this God concept works, and you are devoted to a personification of God. It's very important to connect to God through a personification initially, and from there evolve to an impersonal and a more abstract understanding of God, which you experience, the principle of God that you experience in every aspect of life in and around you. And the mind sees only God. The entire world is converted into God. The whole world is seen as God. Every aspect of life is seen as God. You see, understand that there is only God in and around, all around. It's called one-pointed devotion to God. You arrive at that. There are various steps with which we arrive. Sri Ramana Maharshi talks about it in a very nice way in Upadesha Undiyar. There is a text that he has written. Upadesha Undiyar, the verses 4, 5, 6, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. They are very. It starts about surrendering the results of action to the Lord and all that. See, when you are in this transition phase coming to the Sangha, we already looked at devotion to God has been looked at in the first verse itself. Tene shashya vidiyatam apachiti kamye madhityachitam. So, devotion to God, surrender to God is not something alien to you. You already gone through that process before you ran out of the house and came and took refuge in the satsanga. In the sequence of our discussion, so we have already gone through the devotion to God. Now, dridadiyatam means making it steady, means making it pervade your mind and take over all the faculties. Basically, you are tuning your entire functional being, every aspect of your personality, you are tuning into God, and you are creating one pointedness, ekagrata. Here it basically means the practice of Raja Yoga. Practice of Raja Yoga through Ishvara Pranidhana. That is the practice of Savikalpa Samadhi through meditation on God. Here it basically talks about meditation on God. It is discussed about in the verses 4, 5, and 6 of Upadesha Undiyar of Ramana Maharshi. திடமிது பூஜை ஜபமும் தியானம் உடல் வாக்கு உளத்தொழில் உந்தி பெற உயர்வாகும் ஒன்றில் ஒன்று உந்தி பெற எண்ணுரு யாவும் இறையுருவாம் என எண்ணி வழிபடல் உந்தி பெற ஈசனர் பூசனை உந்தி பெற வழுத்தலில் வாக்குச்ச வாய்ப்பு ஜபத்தில் விழுப்பமாம் மானதம் உந்தி பெற விளம்பும் தியானமைக்கு உந்தி பெற விட்டுக்கருதலின் ஆறினை வீழ்ச்சி போல் விட்டிடாது உன்னலே உந்தி பெற விசேடமா முன்னவே உந்தி பெற. Up to 7, 4, 5, 6, and 7 of Upadesha Saram or Upadesha Undiyar. We will discuss these 4 describe the process by which we arrive at steady one-pointed devotion to Ishvara, the yogic meditation on God. We will go through this in elaborate step-by-step process with guidance from the Upadesha Saram of Ramana Maharshi in the next class. So with this, you can look up to that verses, Upadesha Saram, Upadesha Undiyar. It is available. I can send PDF to Kananji, and whoever wants can take it from him. Or it is there in internet. Just look up. You can read it up, and it will be easy for you to follow the discussion in the next class. We will go through that in an elaborate manner. Meditation on God. We will go through that. You can also look at the series in YouTube, in my YouTube channel. There is this Let's Meditate series. In that, meditation on God has been given. You can look at that also if you have some time. Okay. So with this, I will finish the class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tatsate. Thank you. There are three messages here. Right? Thank you.